Today we're catching some sun and waves with Robert, a QHS member whose life is as vibrant and refreshing as a seaside breeze. What currents brought him to the sunny shores of the quantum shift? Let's surf behind the scenes to see the waves he's been riding.
Hi, my name is Bob, and first of all, I'm sort of a private person, don't like to talk a lot, but in this case, I really believe strongly in what the touch is doing. And if I can in some way contribute in a small way, I'll do it. And I feel like this is a small way I can contribute. So this is sort of a story of my life, where I'm at currently and what has transpired. I was born in Queens, New York. And during the birth process, my mom had some complications. I had to do a C-section. So I came out and I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck and I wasn't breathing. So he tried to revive me and could not revive me. And my mom asked, can you try one more time? And there was a nurse there, this is the way the story goes, and she picked me up and she spanked me in my behind and I started to cry. And so that was my entry into society. And thank goodness for a great mom. After I was born, my father and mother were in the service. My father had come in Normandy in World War II. And between his actual service and civil service, he spent 48 years serving his country. My mom was a WAC during World War II, stationed down in Biloxi, Mississippi. And between her service and her civil service, he spent 46 years. So between the two of them, they had 94 years of service to their country. So my country means a lot to me. I grew up with that. After I was born in New York, my dad was stationed to Stuttgart, Germany. So 2 months of age, I moved to Stuttgart, Germany, and lived there till I was 5 years of age. Do I remember much about Germany? The only thing I really remember is that Germany and Austria were just absolutely beautiful. I don't remember much else of that early life, but I do remember the beauty of the countries. We returned to United States and moved to Pennsylvania, and that's where I began my educational career. So I had a severe speech impediment. So I went to kindergarten and they thought I was really, really slow. So my mom said, no, he's actually very smart, just can't talk. And I took speech lessons till I was in 5th grade. I'd learned to enunciate, speak, and being in Germany, I really never spoke English. So I also had to learn the English language. And I was able to overcome the lack of speech to go on and do well enough for myself, be able to speak in front of crowds as today. This is my first Zoom call ever. So I'm glad to be here to share my story with you. My childhood was pretty normal, other than the speech impediment. I got to 5th grade, and a little story about speech impediment. I made to there was 4 of us left, and they gave me the word regulate to spell. Pretty easy word, Reguulate. Well, I spell as Leguulate because my R was an L. It came out like an L, but actually was an R. But my 5th grade teacher stood up for me and said, no, that was really an R, but that's okay. I learned that I need to learn differentiate between R and L and say R correctly. So it was a good lesson in life. I was in Cub Scouts, enjoyed Cub Scouts, and then I went on to Boy Scouts. And Boy Scouts gave me the chance to explore different areas of the country and discover more about myself. We did things such as an Appalachian Trail. I did the hike twice, 50-mile trek. We took everything with us in backpacks and stayed out under the stars. We went up to Montreal, the Algonquin Park, and portage for 3 weeks with basically nothing. It was sent a plane over us. We called our food by catching fish and the spare rations we had. We built our own lean-tos and our own fires. They'd send the plane out once every 3 days, check, make sure we're doing okay. But it was a great opportunity for me to grow and find out about myself. So then I entered high school, and I always loved math. It was one of my favorites. And but I enjoyed school in general. I played football and track and played the baritone and trumpet. So pretty normal things, not too much in terms of injuries. I then went to college and played college football. And that started my injury process with concussions. I suffered a severe ankle injury my junior year. And in that game, I couldn't finish the game, but we still won. We were undefeated. And we played another team the following week that was also undefeated. And my coach came up to me, put his arm around me and said, boy, we really need you out there for this game. I couldn't even walk. And, but you trust in the adults and your coaches. So I went out and played in this game, lasted 3 quarters, but that ankle was never the same. And as time went by, I started to develop a severe amount of arthritis and pain, and I have a high pain tolerance, but so I persevered. But that pain grew increasingly over time. So anyway, during college, I met my wife, and we looked at each other immediately, and we knew that it was a great connection, and we married the week after we graduated. I then went on to teach mathematics in high school and coach football and track for 36 years. But as time progressed, the ankle became more severe. I noticed that my brain wasn't functioning as well either as time went by. I started to put 2 and 2 together and researched the field of concussions and discovered that a lot of what that went on with concussion people is what I had. So I started to explore alternative therapies because people just wanted to give medication. I wasn't a big fan of medication. But the one thing I enjoyed about education was the ability to make a positive impact on society, particularly with my students and my football players, track people. I still keep in touch with them as years have gone by. But there's one instance in particular, we realized there's a greater power at work here. And one day after school, I was assistant principal at this point, and still teaching math and coaching football, but I said I would help them because they were short a person. I'm on my way home, pick up my son from middle school, and there's a student walking by, and it's later in school, and I asked how that person was doing, and they said, okay. And I've always been a very empathic person. I can sense other people's feelings. And I took 3 steps, and that word okay just sort of was like, So I turned around quick. I said, what do you mean by okay? And the person responded, said, I'm thinking about committing suicide. And it was like, let's talk. So long story short, he had already written his letter, and he was able to get the help he needed to overcome and start a process of dealing with his feelings. But as years went by, I had the next 3 brothers and sisters in class, so I was able to keep up with them. But I enjoyed education because it gave me a chance to give back to society, impact students in a positive fashion. And I was one of those math teachers that, yes, I taught math. I loved math. We had fun in class, and I took pride in my students reaching the end of the school year where they're supposed to be. But I enjoyed it most when they said, so how do you feel about math? Well, we can't wait for next year for math. And I took a lot of pride in that. So it was just a good, positive way to give back to society, teaching and coaching as well. Coaching was another great way to give back. And years later, I had a former football player had been out taking pictures of deer, climbed up in the deer stand, and found out at the deer stand, and hit the ground and partially paralyzed. Was able to get a cell phone, call his daughter up, and give her the location because he was out in the middle of the woods, nowhere. And then his second phone call was to me, and he said, "Coach." And I thought, well, I remember this person, and it had been, a good 20 years. He said, "I need you to do something for me." And I can sense the pain in his voice. He said, I need you to come." And I said, "Sure." And so I drove, just let me know, told me what had happened. And so I drove for about 7 hours. I was there. I thought I'd be there about 3 days. Ended up being there 3 weeks. So it was, he was in severe pain and didn't think he was going to make it. He made it. Long story short, overcame the paralysis to a part where he's able to walk in, and it was a walk with him with the faith of believing that he was saved by Jesus Christ. So God's been a big part of my life. Education's been a big part of my life, but giving back has been a bigger part of my life. I love my grandkids. I still do father-son trips with my 2 sons. We go special places. But to get back to the touch. So we have moved to Virginia, and my ankles were at a point where, to independent care, where I needed a scooter to get around in. I could hardly walk. So I found a great surgeon, John Hopkins, and went and spoke to him. Said, "Yes, I can help you with your ankle. I can replace it. And the left one I can help make better." But I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this. So I started praying and had a conversation one day with God directly. I said, "So should I do this or shouldn't I do it?" And he says, "Well, you will be healed." And I thought, wow, I will be healed. And he says, "Yes, you will be healed." And I had this conversation about 8 years before that. Had rotator cuff surgery on my left shoulder, and actually my right shoulder, sorry. And in this process, I'd seen other guys, they were in for therapy. It was going like 6 months, 7 months. They were still in therapy, and they had all this pain. And my surgery was really tough. Doctor promised that he would look behind my shoulder, check out tendons, things like that. So he's in there, and he has an associate, and he promised he would do the whole surgery. But I had such severe injuries in the front and the back of the shoulder, tendons, bicuspids, the whole bit. It took him 3.5 hours, and he had to bring the associate in there and use up 3 saw blades in the process of repairing the shoulder. But long story short, I go home that night, and I never did like meds, and they gave me painkillers, and I'm praying once again to God, and he says, "Just lay back, go to sleep, all will be okay." And I'm visualizing these guys I saw in the slings, therapy for 7 months, and still in pain. So I wake up next morning. I was very fortunate. I never had to take a painkiller. And 2 months later, I went in for my visit, and I was able to have full range of motion. So that played a big part in me when I heard God give me that message that, yes, you will be healed. So I passed on the ankle surgery, and I made a little bit of progress, but none as much as when I started trying to touch. My ankle was severely impacted. I'd done the V6 before that, and that had helped me immensely too. But once I started with the touch, I just noticed a reduction in inflammation, not just at my ankles, but throughout all joints of my body, and mentally, my brain developed a greater sense of clarity. So for me, this journey through life and all situations I've had, and ending up with a greater faith in God and saying, "You will be healed." I always wonder how it was going to happen. Was it just going to be boom? you're healed. And I'd have this conversation, and God would say, ye of little faith. I said, you're right, you're right. And this would go on for a while, and it'd be like, ye of little faith. And I said, okay, I got this. So finally the touch came along. And I said, thank you. He says, you're getting there. And there was no ye of little faith at that point. So through the touch, I'm actually now thinking, doing things I thought I would never do again in my life, like walk for a mile, go visit the Canadian Rockies with my wife, chase my grandkids around the yard, go ballroom dancing again with my wife. So for me, the touch has been totally instrumental to envisioning a different life that I dreamed about doing, but now realizing that, yeah, I will be able to do this. So I hope this story helps some people in terms of their choices or decisions. And I just very much appreciate everybody, Tracy, everybody was involved with developing the touch, because it's just a tremendous contribution, and anything I can do can contribute back to society with a story such as this, that is fantastic. So with that, I'll say good luck, God bless, and thank you.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.